Our driving force. Home or away, the colors are a part of us. On Thursdays, we disrupt, we unify. On Thursdays, we turn up our game in full color.
Color rush jerseys are a lost art in the modern NFL. Every year, a select amount of teams release new jerseys, and color rush uniforms get pushed further and further back into the closet of backlog designs they have. But what was the Color Rush Initiative? What brought it about? And why did it die such a vicious fate? The thought was that as team branding gets more and more complex, with a deeper history, it would be a fun and easy way to simplify a storied team down to a single color versus another single color. After winning the license from Reebok, Nike had the contract to create all on-field apparel and all NFL merchandise. And they wanted to create something that would put their stamp on the history of the NFL for decades to come.
The thought was, if we put both teams in color, as opposed to having a white versus color matchup, that would visually give everybody something new to look at. Nike had also identified that that was on the same anniversary as the first colorized television broadcast of an NFL game.
In 2012, the NFL handed its merchandising operations from Reebok to Nike. After several years of only making simple stylistic changes with the NFL jersey contract, they decided they wanted to do something to firmly leave their fingerprints on the game. For some context, Nike had been the jersey supplier for the Oregon Ducks for many, many years. And whether they knew it or not, the Ducks were guinea pigs for Nike. That Nike could use them to display some of their new technology that they have in printing, design language, or straight up use them as a template to see if their ideas would work on a bigger scale in the NFL. Nike threw some of the most creative, inventive, and insane ideas at the Ducks, and they had no choice but to ride out the wave. But after the dust settled on the NFL's contract with Nike, they had officially decided to move on to bigger and better toys. So 2014 ends and 2015 rolls around. And Nike was like, hey, NFL, remember how we've been really nice and not made any catastrophic choices since becoming your merch provider? And the NFL was like, yeah. And Nike was like, well, not anymore. And boom, Color Rush was born. The experiment started with just 8 teams over 4 weeks of the Thursday Night Football schedule for the 2015 season. But in 2016, the Color Rush Initiative was forced onto all 32 teams in the NFL, whether they wanted to or not. Some teams immediately hated the jerseys they were given. In fact, the Washington Commanders, then known as the Washington Redskins, especially hated the jerseys they were given. More on that later, though. In September 2016, the NFL unveiled the entire 32 Color Rush jersey lineup, and it truly split fan bases down the middle more than the plot of an M. Night Shyamalan movie. That's a pop culture reference for all you pop culture fiends out there. You guys remember M. Night Shyamalan? Probably not, because you're 12. Remember Avatar: The Last Airbender? Not that one. Not that one. That one. That one. He did that one. We haven't forgiven him for it. But in general, Color Rush jerseys came down to the cards you were dealt. Teams like the Steelers had their fans embrace their jerseys in a massive way. In fact, they actually announced their team's jerseys earlier than the other 32 teams. Other teams hated the jerseys and immediately wanted to put their threads in the rearview mirror. So in 2017, just 1 year after the jerseys went into effect, the Washington Redskins tried to introduce a rule that teams could opt out of Color Rush games and instead just wear their home alternates. That got shot down in the owners' meeting faster than a Jesse Pinkman love interest. So Washington just took their ball and went home. So having lost the vote, Washington just took their ball and went home. Oh, did they? Then team owner and professional bag of dicks Dan Snyder decided that if they couldn't opt out of wearing their jerseys, they just weren't going to. And if Commissioner Goodell didn't like it, well, he could sit on it and spin. 2 teams were opted into an all-white fit. So obviously there's a lot of teams that share color and identity in the NFL. And because of that, for each jersey to be somewhat original, some teams got pushed slightly off course as far as their design language and into, well, a gray area. Or in this case, a white area. And I'm convinced that these jerseys were made for the whitest actresses you've ever seen to clean them in a commercial for Tide. I'm not joking. Try to find a Tide commercial where all the actresses and actors in it aren't white as sin. Regardless if some fan bases liked the Color Rush jerseys they were assigned or if they hated them, we can all agree that sometimes being boring can be even worse than being hated. So these two teams that were stuck with all white jerseys were the New York Giants and the Green Bay Packers. Now, due to complicated family ties, I am both a Broncos and a Steelers fan, and I'm lucky enough to love both of my team's Color Rush jerseys. In fact, a shameless plug, on my video where I ranked every single one of the NFL jerseys, they're definitely towards the top. So I can't tell you what it's like to have a fan base with a bad Color Rush jersey. But I think I know some people who might be able to.